let's head into the game room for your Roll to Hit Gaming First Look host.
Hey everyone, this is Chip from Roll to Hit Gaming. Today we're taking our first look at Fallout the board game from developer-publisher Fantasy Flight Games. The world of Fallout has suffered a catastrophic nuclear event, and in this game the goal of the players is quite simply to survive in the irradiated wastelands that surround you. Survival is achieved by battling the countless creatures that seek your death, completing quests, scavenging, and trading, all the while building up influence with the various factions. The game is based on the Fallout IP and the latest video games published by Bethesda. It seeks to keep with the fidelity of those games by offering up exploration, combat, and resource gathering, as well as character growth. Players can work together in limited ways or just do their own thing. So put on your vault suits, grab your caps, and join us as we take this first look at Fallout the board game. The first thing you do is pick a scenario to play. Fantasy Flight Games recommends that you play the Commonwealth scenario, however you can choose any of the 4 scenarios provided. Place the scenario card above the play area so that everyone can see it. Next we're going to build the map. We're going to shuffle the dangerous and the deadly tiles separately. The dangerous tiles are the ones with the triangle with the exclamation point, while the deadly have a hexagon and an exclamation point. The dangerous and deadly tiles will be randomly placed face down. Every scenario begins with at least 4 face-up locations, one of which is always the Crossroads camp. It's the player's starting location. Note that when face-down tiles are flipped, there will be an arrow at the top to show you how to orient them on the map. The back of your chosen scenario card will show you the map to create with the face-up and face-down tiles. We'll begin with the Crossroad Camp and build our map according to this layout. Next we create piles for the special trait, enemy tokens, and caps next to the game board. The special and enemy tokens should be placed face down and shuffled. The enemy tokens can be separated by enemy type: critter, human, robot, monster, and super mutant. Special tokens represent the skills the players acquire throughout the game. For each special token a survivor has that matches the icon associated with a test or his or her equipped weapon during a fight, that survivor generates 1 reroll to spend during that test or fight respectively. Next we'll create the encounter decks. To create the encounter decks, we'll start by separating the starting encounter cards, which have stars in the upper left-hand corner, into 2 piles which represent wilderness and settlement encounters. We'll shuffle both of these decks separately and place them next to the map area. The remaining cards are then placed in numerical order next to the game board to form the card library. While playing certain missions or events, you will be required to pull specific cards from that deck as they enter gameplay. Next we'll create the agenda deck, the deck with the thumbs up on the back. Each card is numbered with the number of players you'll be playing with: 1, 2, 3, and 4. So for instance, in a 2-player game, you would only include the agendas for 2+ and 1+ players. All others are returned to the box. Also shuffle the loot and asset decks and place them next to the game board. Additionally, make sure that the perks, unique asset cards, and the VATS dice are somewhere near the board in an accessible space. To set up the shop, deal 4 cards from the asset deck and lay them next to it. This forms the shop. Next, randomly choose a first player, and then, beginning with that player, select the character you want to play. Once selected, each player places their miniature in any space of the Crossroad Camp except for the middle red. Take note that 2 models can start in the same location. To set up the player board, since I've selected the Vault Dweller to be my character, I receive the Vault Dweller card, which is a Vault Suit piece of equipment. I also receive a special token with the Vault Dweller icon on the back, and I put that in the special track for L on my player board. I also put the gray peg in the leftmost space of the experience track, the green peg on the 0 space of the rad track, the red peg in the 16 space of the health track. The player board tracks health going down and rads coming up. If the two tokens ever should meet, your player dies and is returned to the starting position. If the green peg for rads is ever so high that on respawning your health peg cannot be inserted in the 16 hole, you're eliminated from the game. At this point, I'll also randomly draw another special tile and slot that into my player board in the position that represents that letter. In this case, I've randomly drawn an S. My player board is now ready to begin the game. Next, each player will draw one agenda card, keeping it secret from all other players. And lastly, each player gets 3 caps. And finally, we'll resolve any starting effects that remain on our scenario card. First, it tells us to stage Encounter 14. We'll go into the Encounter deck, we'll pull Encounter 14 and place it next to the game board. This will include different missions that players can try to achieve. Also, it tells us to place the shield symbol in Diamond City. Lastly, if there are monster tokens on any visible tiles, we will take a monster of that type and place them face up in that location. Here, a robot monster appears, and here, a super mutant. And finally, we're going to place the Star and Shield power tokens at the very top of the power track on the scenario card. We're now ready to begin our adventures in the Wasteland. Setup for solo play is the same as for the multiplayer variant. Players take turns in clockwise order, starting with the first player. After all players have taken a turn, all the enemies on the map will activate by moving and/or attacking. During a player's turn, they may choose 2 of several actions that are available to perform. These actions are Explore, which will reveal a tile that is face down. Move your figure around the map. Take a quest to complete one of the available quests. Have an encounter. Draw and resolve an encounter card according to your position on the map. Fight in an attempt to kill an enemy in your space. Or camp to recover some hit points, unexhaust your companions, and exchange stuff with other survivors. Play continues in this manner and ends immediately when one player achieves enough influence to claim victory, or one of the factions on the scenario card reaches the end of the power track. Agenda cards grant an automatic 1 influence for having them in your hand, to a maximum of 4 cards, and can grant you more if you've met the goals on them. The victory point goal is based on the number of players in the game. You're now ready to adventure into the Wastelands. But remember, war never changes.